to Ben next with the question that inspections frequently refer to quality risk management as a contributing factor to inspection observations. But maybe that leads to the question of, is there a disconnect between industry implementation and regulatory expectations? Any kind of top level thoughts on that?
Bit of a loaded question. So I'd say there probably is a little bit of a disconnect. I think regulators and manufacturers will have a different risk appetite and which may not align. So we're going to be looking at risks differently. But I think the most important thing, and it's been touched on during the session, is around putting the patient at the centre of all our considerations. So if we can do that, and if we can have conversations and have dialogue around that, it's a great opportunity to find some common ground. So look, with PICs, there's mandatory requirements to have sort of operational risk management systems in place, and a need to evaluate risk to product quality. So I think it's really important that that there's good risk management practices associated with deviations and customer complaints and change control and those things that I alluded to in my presentation. That so there's much that can be done there, and regulators will be looking carefully at that, and can be quite critical, and sometimes that's where there's, on those little individual level, the disconnect can be kind of demonstrated, I suppose. I wanted to share, just based because Cormac mentioned something about culture, and I'd love to, I don't know if I'm diverting slightly here, but I wanted to touch on that slightly because just to cover off an example that we had, and it's around culture. It was around a particular manufacturer that we observed was declining in terms of their quality risk management approach over maybe 12 to 18 months, maybe even longer. And it got to the point where we sort of reached out and had some really good discussions with them, a number of discussions with them about, and we're honest about what we were seeing and that we're quite concerned and everything. They went away and came up with a strategy which was excellent. And when they applied that strategy, it was they were able to get to a point where we were incredibly satisfied. And what they effectively did was focused on culture, and they trained staff at all levels, not just the quality managers or the production staff, but up to the senior levels in the organisation, and it had a remarkable effect of boosting their level of compliance in many areas. So, and that's just through that focus on culture. That disconnect, I suppose, that there was a massive disconnect in what we expected and what they were doing, really sort of came. We came closer on that. So. So I thought it's just worth mentioning, and calling up a really good point about culture.
That's great. It's really